Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions regarding this watch. Today, we're discussing my favorite version of the Patek Philippe 5930 World Time Flyback Chronograph. This is the 5930P-001. This model, as you see it here, launched in 2021 as a platinum emerald dial variant of the original, which came out in 2016. So the watch features a diamond between the lugs to remind you this is a modern-day platinum Patek Philippe. That is the top Vesselton diamond. The watch is 39.5 millimeters in diameter. It measures 14.1 millimeters thick to my calipers, lug tip to lug tip 48.1 millimeters with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. In platinum, the weight is impressive and significant. On my wrist, however, you can see that it wears the same as the previous models. It's pretty broad, and it's not particularly thin, but it probably will fit underneath most dress sleeves. I'd recommend it for a wrist of, I'd say 15 centimeters circumference or larger. My wrist is 16 again. You be the judge, but I think I could wear this on a slightly smaller wrist, especially as the strap breaks in and becomes more flexible. The strap's a lovely piece. You can see we have here small rectangular scale alligator leather, a cut not often used, in high gloss emerald green. You can see we have a folded edge monotone stitch. There's a little bit of stuffing or bolstering to give it volume. You can see that there is calf skin on the bottom, and it is a Patek factory strap in outstanding condition. It uses Patek's pull tab spring bars that you can use to pop the strap off the case without tools. And it has a full matching platinum folding clasp with the Calatrava Cross on top, the symbol of the company. Internally, you can see the city of origin as well as the maker's mark. And then there's this little radial spring that provides more closure, security, and resilience than you'll find on a typical friction fit clasp. So this actually will hold the watch stable. And the lugs are probably my favorite part of the case. As you can see, they're stepped out, giving the watch a lot of character and also tying it a little bit to the 5230 world time. There is a little trigger that allows you to change your city of reference. The easy way to remember where the city of reference sits is that it is always right side up. So you can see right now, for some reason, I have Auckland in New Zealand selected. So let's go to where I actually am. I'm in Philadelphia, so U.S. East Coast time, so New York is going to be my city of reference. This is a system jointly devised by Patek Philippe and the great watchmaker and innovator Louis Coutier. Coutier created the radial system for telling world time. So, for example, if I am in Auckland, we're right back to where we were before, you could see that we have 24 reference cities to represent the world's 24 principal time zones. And with your reference city up at the top, you just look at this 24-hour reference ring. One semicircle is silver, that's where it's roughly daytime. The other is black, that's where it's roughly nighttime. And you just look at the hour adjacent to each city, and then you read your minutes at center. So I can see in Auckland, it is 9 p.m. right now. And then you could see that in Los Angeles, it's 1 a.m. And in Dubai, you could see that it is 1 p.m. And that's how it always works. The opposite is directly across. And granted, it can't deal with the idiosyncratic time zones of some airports and authoritarian states, but for the most part, this gets the job done. Now, where Patek really innovated over the Coutier system was adding a little mechanism that swaps up your city of reference, moves the reference ring, and then boots the hour hand for local time to its correct position. So if I do want to jump back to New York, or just, I guess maybe we could even go back to Auckland, it's very easy to do. If you wish to move the hour hand independently, you pull the crown out, and now I can adjust the timekeeping without moving my reference city. So that's how that works right there. Note that the referencing moves counterclockwise as the hands move clockwise. Taking a quick look with the lights off. There is luminescence, though of the time, not necessarily the world time. The watch features a spectacular guilloche sort of ricochet pattern at center, and it is emerald green, as are the cities around the dial. We have applique white gold indices with white gold hands to match, white gold used because it will not oxidize or tarnish with time. And it is a chronograph. You can see there's a 30-minute register for the chrono, but it's also a flyback chrono, which means you can reset and restart without first stopping. And because this watch, if you notice when I stop the chrono, it's a little bit dead. There's nothing going on on the dial. But this watch has a vertical clutch chronograph, so you can leave the chronograph running full time if you like to have running seconds on your dial. You can use it as the seconds hand to match up to the minutes and the hours. And although the watch doesn't have stop seconds, if you wish, you can use the flyback mechanism of the chronograph as a zero reset. Call it a hacking hack, if you will. All this beat sway at 4 hertz. You can see on the back, we've got a version of the caliber 28520. Automatic winding with unidirectional action and ceramic bearings for high efficiency winding, 55-hour power reserve, the 4 hertz beat rate on a free-sprung Gyromax style balance, adjusted in 6 positions. When you combine the anti-magnetic Spiromax hairspring, Gyromax 6-position adjustment, and the Patek Philippe seal. When this watch came out, Patek was talking about watches to this standard running no worse than -3 + 2 seconds per day. Well, nothing has changed since this watch came out, and now Patek is saying that these can run no worse than -1 + 2 seconds per day. So the good news just keeps on coming. You can see it is a 38 jewel movement that's fairly large, as the casing up diameter is 33 millimeters. It is column wheel with a vertical clutch, so it has a very crisp operation. Let me see if I can show you the column wheel, though, because it's an unusual one. You can see it's sort of a flattened column wheel that's what I would describe as a hybrid of a cam and a column wheel. So it's a little bit unusual on how it's designed, but the feel, the crispness, is that of a column wheel. Now, the advantage of Gyromax, which is the architecture of the balance, is that it can take a very precise adjustment, and then it's more shock tolerant. The Spiromax hairspring, this is the latest version. It breathes concentrically like an overcoil because of how its precision formed. It is essentially immune to magnetism, and it's also largely immune to the change of temperature. So temperature deviation is not going to challenge it as much as it would a standard ferrous or metallic hairspring. Taking a look at the movement, you can see that the chronograph components in steel are brushed on their tops and polished on their sides, beveled that is. We have engine turning on the base plate. All screw heads are black polished with chamfered slots in circumference. Circular Côte de Genève, as well as a snailing and engine turning on the rotor. We have circular Côte de Genève on the bridges, engine turning on the base plate. You can see some locating pegs. You can see one right there, for example, used to locate bridges or springs on structures below. Those pegs have been polished on their tops. And then we have a high degree of anglage, started mechanically, but probably finished with a manual buffer tip on a drill tool to get that mirrored shine, which is something you will not get, for example, on most Audemars Piguet watches. Despite that allegedly also being Holy Trinity, this is a slightly higher standard of finish on a series production movement. So Patek is doing all the right things. 30 meters water resistant, so I wouldn't swim with it, but just keep in mind Patek now declares 30 meters to be sufficient for genuine 30 meter submergence. So you know the score, you take your chances. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.